Hello everybody and welcome back to Heart Breathings for another fun Preptober video with a little bit of spooktacular added in. I'm so excited that you guys loved the video on how I plan and set up my novel, and I do have a video coming up hopefully before Nano to show you all about my note cards. But what we're going to talk about today is how you actually write fast enough and write faster so that you can win NaNoWriMo. So 50,000 words in 30 days is not an easy thing to do, but it is achievable. So I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for how to write faster during the month of November and cross that finish line. Let's get started. So tip number 1 should come as no surprise because it really ties into what I was just talking about last week, which is know what you're writing. The prep in Preptober is what it's all about. So hopefully because you're here, you're already getting started thinking about your characters, thinking about what your novel is going to actually be about, because one of the main things that will slow writers down, and that has slowed me down in the past during NaNoWriMo, is sitting down halfway through the month and thinking, I have no idea what happens. Or even sitting down at the very beginning of the month and having to do the planning that I should have done in the month of October. So if you have no idea who these characters are, what they're really all about and what they need, and what types of conflicts they're going to face in this story, then you're going to probably struggle your way through this. Now, I know that planning your novel really is going to look different for pretty much everybody who's watching this video. Some of you are going to plan just like I was planning. You're going to have your 3-act outline. You're going to have your note cards. You're going to have a ton of information about your characters and everything figured out. But some of you, that feels restrictive, so you're going to just be winging it a little bit more. But whether you are a pantser or a plotter, it's so important to at least have a rough idea or sketch of who these characters are and what type of conflict they're going to face. And if you are creating a bigger world, sometimes what can make you get stuck or go really slow during Nano is trying to figure out, how does the magic system work? Some of these decisions are things you should decide during Preptober. So if you want to write faster, it's so important to really have a good grasp of what your novel's plan is. So if you missed last week's video, go back and see how I plan or map out my entire novel, and maybe that will spark some ideas for you of how you can get prepped and get ready to write come November 1st. Now, I did say I'm going to do another video for you about how I use scene cards, but I personally find that the scene cards are crucial for NaNoWriMo. My scene cards will say basically everything from which character's point of view I'm in for this scene, what's the major action that's taking place, and what's the conflict that's going on here. And it may just be a couple of lines, or it could be a card that I've written on front and back that I'm really like detailing what's going on in the scene. But why this is so important for me is I can start each day during Nano with a note card that says, Harper's going to be going to this shop and she's going to be asking some questions, and she and the shop girl are going to get into an argument. And I know that's what's going to happen. Now, of course, I haven't planned out exactly what they're going to say, because that is what writing is all about. That's going to come out in the writing, and I have to just let that free flow. But having that little 2 or 3 line note card that says what's going to be happening keeps me from getting stuck and allows me to jump right in every single day of Nano and start writing and know exactly what's going to happen. Another practice that I do that helps me know what I'm writing is at the end of each day, once I know I'm done writing, I will go ahead and make a little note on the next note card, or even in the manuscript itself, that says, tomorrow start with Jackson's point of view, where he's going to do some research at the police station. I'm just making this up, but thinking ahead and knowing what you're going to write tomorrow, so that when you sit down each day, you're not just staring at a blank computer screen thinking, I have no idea what's coming up, is going to help you write so much faster, because you know exactly where you're starting, and it's going to spark your imagination so much faster. Tip number 2, you guys have heard me say this so many times, is to write in sprints. So if you've never written in sprints before, before, I'm going to just do a quick overview of how they work. Basically, this is also known as the Pomodoro method, and it has been life-changing for me and so many other authors out there for a number of reasons. My very first Nano, I did it all by myself, and I actually did hit the 50,000 words, but that novel was kind of a mess and it was a very lonely experience. When I decided to do Nano again the next year, I actually went out to a lot of the write-ins and they were doing writing sprints. I had never heard of this before, but basically you just set a timer you just pick the amount of time you want to write. I like 20 or 25 minutes, but you can go as short as 5 or 10 minutes, or you can go as long as a full hour for a sprint. I find for myself that the longer I set that timer, like if I go past 25 minutes and try to set a timer for like 40 minutes, I start to get diminishing returns because I start to feel kind of fatigued and I lose focus. But that 20 to 25 minutes for me is a real sweet spot where the minute I start that timer, my fingers are typing and I do not stop typing during those 20 minutes. So a sprint is basically just what it sounds like. The firecracker goes off and you say 3, 2, 1, go, and you just keep writing. You turn off all of your distractions, you turn on some music, get your manuscript ready, whatever it is. You just start writing. You don't stop and answer emails, you don't chat with anybody. It's just pure focused time. Then when the timer goes off, that time is up, then you can count your word count, get up, get a drink, go to the bathroom, say hi to your friends, do a little chatting, do some research that you needed to do on your book, and set a timer for that break. So maybe a 5 or 10 minute break. And then you start the timer again for your writing sprint and you keep going. There are so many reasons why this works. Not only are you eliminating distractions, you're also writing for the full 25 minutes. If you just give yourself, oh, I have 2 full hours to write, chances are you're going to use a ridiculous amount of that time researching, setting up your music, chatting with people on Facebook or Discord, just kind of meandering around. What's going to happen next in the story? I'm not really sure. And like maybe editing some previous words. And before you know it, your 2 hours is up and you've only gotten maybe 150 new words in. But if you set everything up, let other people know this is my sprinting time, put your music in or your noise canceling headphones and say, for the next 20 minutes, no matter what else happens, I am going to get words on the page. Those words will come. But setting a timer means that you know there's an end in sight. So you're able to really laser focus for that brief period of time. That's why for me, when I set a 40-minute timer, it doesn't work as well because about 20 to 25 minutes in, I start to my mind starts to drift basically, and I start typing very slowly. Whereas I would get a lot more out of that 45 minutes if I did a 20-minute sprint that was super focused, took a 5-minute break and just relaxed, kind of cleared my space, cleared my brain, thought a little bit about what was going on next, took a drink, whatever, and then got in again for another 20-minute sprint. I will actually sometimes get 3 or 4 times more words in by doing 2 20-minute sprints than I would if I just wrote for 45 minutes straight. So if you haven't tried writing sprints, I highly recommend it. And also come join us. We have a writing sprint group called the HB Word Sprint Challenge or the Heart Breathing's Word Sprint Challenge on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, come join the group. I've got the link for you down below. We do live writing sprints where somebody sets the timer and we're on video. And we also have virtual writing retreats every single month. We have one coming up this weekend. So come join us before Friday to see what that's all about. And we will have one going on during Nano. So come join us for writing sprints. But writing in sprints, instead of just giving myself large blocks of time, has been the single most important change in my writing from when I first started to when I really started completing novels. You might want to end up playing around with, does 10 minutes work better for me or 30 minutes work better for me? But before Nano begins, try to find that sweet spot for yourself. How long can you focus before you start to kind of lose steam, and then start using that as your kind of sweet spot writing sprint time. Tip number 3 is to connect with other writers. Accountability can go such a long way when you're wanting to write faster. And I know it may seem like, what is that going to make any difference in me writing faster? But I promise you, you that if you set a target and you buddy up with a group like the Writing Sprints group, or even a smaller, just a buddy friend that you talk to on Zoom every day, or I have a really good friend, Jen, who is checking in with me every day on Marco Polo, and she says, here's what I did. And I message her and I say, here's what I did. And there's something about that outer accountability, rather than just sitting alone by your computer screen. It just gives you that extra boost where you can say, okay, I know that Jen's waiting on my word count. I've got to tell her I did something. I told her I was going to get 3,000 words today. So let me sit my butt down in this chair and get those 5 writing sprints done. And then I can update her with that. Now, one of the best things about NaNoWriMo that I love, and why I still participate even though I'm a full-time professional writer, is that it gives you that accountability and that community. Just being able to enter those words into the Nano site and see that graph go up, see the words getting completed, and that level of accountability from friends in my groups and different things like that, knowing that other writers are doing this, like 100,000 plus writers across the world are doing this, gives me that extra boost that I need to just keep my fingers moving, keep the story going no matter what. So if you want to write fast enough to win NaNoWriMo, connect with the community, whether it's my Facebook group, people here in the comments, or just on the NaNoWriMo forums or your local Nano group. It's so important to start getting involved. Even if you're just a lurker at first, it's totally fine. Just show up and it's going to make a big difference. Tip number 4 is to practice your typing. So you can only go as fast as your fingers will carry you. So if you're a slow kind of search and peck kind of writer, you're going to write slower than someone who can type at 70 words per minute. So I know at this point that this video is coming out, you only have a couple of weeks left until Nano begins, but that is actually enough time to increase your typing speed. So I highly recommend go to search online for free typing lessons or free typing games. There's a place called typing.academy online that has some free tutorials, and you can actually learn how the keyboard is set up, and you can start doing some of the base exercises. I am so lucky that back in high school, I actually took keyboarding and kind of learned how to type faster, and that has still served me well many years later. But if you do not have that background where you learned typing and you can type very fast, one of the single things that can help you the most in increasing your speed of writing is increasing your typing speed and your accuracy. So have some fun with it. Find some tutorials online, find some games. So one of the fun games that I discovered through Steam a few years back is a game called The Typing of the Dead. And this is basically just like a 70s style typing game where you don't have actual guns, but in order to get away from the zombies, you have to type out words. And they're often very strange words that use, letters that you don't often use when you're typing, but it really gets your fingers going and gets them typing faster, and you get more familiar with the keyboard. So once a month or so, I'll open this game up and just have some fun with it. So you can find tons of games online, something like Typing of the Dead, or if you don't like zombies and potentially really bad language, you could probably find others online that you would enjoy, but increasing that typing speed is key. So go ahead and get started, practice those typing drills and have fun with it. Or alternately, you could also try dictation. I tried dictation when I had some carpal tunnel issues years ago when I was pregnant with my son, and I used it a lot, but I just feel like my brain didn't want to work that way. I couldn't get stories out. I can talk like crazy. I have no problem with talking a lot, but for some reason, talking through my stories and trying to talk and speak out dialogue and things like that didn't personally work for me. But I have so many friends that this is one of the main things that has helped them to write even like 5,000 words in an hour or two, because you can speak so much faster than you can type. And you will have to go back and clean it up and make sure the punctuation's right or that your software understood your words the right way. But even if you don't have something like Dragon Dictation to use, Google Docs now has a speech to text, and even your phone, you can do speech to text. Lots of programs out there, Word and several others. you can just talk into them and dictate your story, and it can make things go so much faster. So if you have the time before NaNoWriMo, try dictating your story. Especially can be helpful when you get behind, to be able to just speak it out and say, Harper enters the room, she looks over at Jackson, blah, 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 blah. And the more you get used to it, the easier it's going to be for you. If you find, like me though, that dictation is not your thing, definitely try increasing your typing speed. It can help a lot. And my fifth and final tip for writing faster and crossing that finish line, 50,000 words in 30 days, is turn off your inner editor. Seriously, you have to just give yourself permission to suck. It's okay if your book is bad. Now, sometimes NaNoWriMo gets criticism from people that are like, nobody can write a good novel in 30 days. Well, you know what? Just like Michael Crichton always said, books aren't written, they're rewritten. The magic of your novel does not come in the first draft. For most of us, there are going to be multiple drafts of your novel. It is not going to just come out of your brain and be perfect on the page and not need any edits. Like, stories are just not created that way. I know that a long time ago when I was studying music, they always used to say that Mozart was like that he would just, hours before the opera was about to start, he would just perfectly transcribe what was in his head onto the score and pass it out to the orchestra members without needing any edits. Beethoven, on the other hand, was notorious for scratching things out and like writing so furiously on the manuscripts and on the score that he would punch holes through them, and it was just a big scribble scrabble mess. I am so much more like Beethoven, and truthfully, I like Beethoven's music better because I feel like it just has more soul. Feel free to disagree, but I need multiple drafts. My work does not just come out of me all perfect, but sometimes our brains can convince us that if this is not coming out exactly like I hoped it would, that it's not good enough. And that self-doubt and negativity, negative self-talk in our brains will eat away not only at our ability to write quickly, but our ability to sit down and write anything at all. So part of the beauty of NaNoWriMo, it's not that anybody's expecting you to write 50,000 perfect words that are ready to be published on December 1st. That's not what it's about. NaNoWriMo is a practice in how well can I turn off this self-doubt and this worry and this need to be perfect and just focus on the pure joy of stories and ideas that are flowing from me. And, you know, it's not about the perfect story. It's not about having everything come together in 30 days. It's just about sitting down, showing up, and writing your story. Get rid of that inner editor. Give yourself permission to write a novel that's just okay, or write a novel that's not even very good, that's going to need a lot of work. Everybody's NaNoWriMo novel needs a lot of work, and that's okay. That's kind of the point. But I promise you that throughout just turning off that editor and letting the words flow, you're going to uncover just like diamonds of incredible dialogue, moments of sheer brilliance that you didn't even know were there. When that editor is there, sometimes you don't allow yourself to really just write with abandon or write what's coming out, because you're always judging yourself as you're writing. As you write, you're thinking, oh, this isn't good enough. I don't think he should do that. Let me stop and really think through it. But if you just allow yourself to just go for it. Turn on that timer, write the crazy idea, write the thing that you think nobody's going to want to read this. Maybe when you get to December 1st and you start looking over what you wrote, you're going to discover that it's a heck of a lot better than you ever dreamed it was. That, wow, did I actually write this? This was a brilliant moment. And sometimes you can't get to that moment unless you just allow yourself to write the bad stuff too. And so I highly encourage you, if you want to write really fast and you want to do something great in the month of November this year, turn off that inner editor. Give yourself permission to suck and show up. Just show up. That's all you got to do. I do actually have a little printable for you that has some little lemons and says give yourself permission to suck or something like that, that I put into the Preptober workbook. So if you have not downloaded my Preptober workbook, all you have to do is go to the link down below, head over to my blog, sign up for my newsletter, and I will send you not only the Preptober workbook or planner that I put together this year, but I will also send you my guide on how to plot a novel, how to edit a novel, how to write a series, so many good things in my resource library, and you will get a link to access and download all of those goodies. So definitely head down to my website and sign up for that newsletter today. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. I would love to have you as part of our Hardee's community. Come join our Facebook group for sprinters, and we are going to have a double down day, a virtual writing retreat, lots of fun stuff coming up in November, but pretty much we have those things going on all year long. And every single week there are live writing sprints in the group. So we would love to have you over there in that community as well. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment down below, because it really does help other people discover this video. And if you have friends who are getting ready to start NaNoWriMo, I would love for you to share this video with them as well. All right, more Preptober goodness coming up throughout the month, and daily NaNoWriMo diaries or vlogs coming up in the month of November. So subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.